I believe it's time to start our regular meeting with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Here.
Commissioner Barwick.
Here.
Commissioner Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Stepland is absent this evening. Mayor Absher.
Here. Would you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, that brings us to item number 3 on the agenda, which is our audience to visitors or area for public comments. This is an opportunity for anybody who wants to address the council to do so, and this is regulated by 2 ordinances, both of which are up here on the counter next to the flower arrangement, 3128 and ordinance 3134. Specifically tonight, I know there are people here to speak on item number 5A on the agenda, or I believe there are, so we will let you speak during that section. If it's about the zoning boards, or the zoning change that's on the agenda. So other than that item, is there anybody here to address the council? Okay.
I hope it's 3 or less minutes in, because I actually do have another engagement.
Okay.
You won't be bothered with me too long tonight. Good evening, Mayor and committee. Commissioners, excuse me. Need my glasses because I tried to write it down so it could be 3 minutes. I want to start by addressing a few items. Can you hear me? After the last meeting, I thank you for the $500,000 that you awarded Boynton Street Center for the much needed maintenance from the ARPA monies. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that, as stated in previous meetings here, there was to be a public meeting regarding ARPA, which that never happened, at least not one that I'm aware of. I also am a little perplexed as to why I imagined the verbal communication was told that indeed there might be $1 million for a full gym at Boynton Street Center, or conversations that alluded to such. And also, I'm done with that part. I want to talk about nonprofit. Since I am affiliated and wear several hats, it's not to accuse, not to be combative, but merely to see if we can merge on some level. You know, I'm with Connect 360, so I can only use that as an example. We Connect 360 have tried to contribute to the community through programs like Hands and Toes, pop-ups, collaborating with various businesses in the city, and donating monies from our funds, particularly $6,000 for a healing grant, which to promote and interact with the community. On every front, we have devoted our time, money, and efforts to serve the underserved and the disenfranchised. You may say, so has every other organization. What makes us unique is that we serve and reach those that otherwise the police, the Boys and Girls Club, and various organizations do not have a rapport or able to reach out to connect with these people. We consistently try to actively find avenues for those who don't know, can't know, and even if they did, won't do something, and they need to be represented. In other words, the faction that falls through the cracks and are not served on any front. However, the reason for me even mentioning is that it seems that it's next to impossible to get the monies of ARPA that was designed for just that, to help the ones that actually need to help, to afford the tools in which to go forth and have access to it. Our organization focuses on preventive maintenance to the youth and the factions that otherwise go unnoticed and by most until an incident occurs or happens. Then everyone wants to reach out to someone who has a working relationship with these people and to help extinguish further confusion. I thank you for your patience, for listening to some of my concerns here tonight. I am looking forward to finding ways that perhaps we might partner with the city to find ways to work as one. I am meeting shortly with the CEO of NAACP, who found his way to Southern Illinois, which I feel blessed. So I don't really have any more time, and I thank you for your patience and listening to me.
Okay. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, now we'll move on to item number 4, which is the consent agenda. We have several items tonight, items A through G. Is there anybody on the council who wants any item A through G removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately? Anybody in attendance tonight like any item A through G removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately? Okay, before we can discuss any of the items, could someone make a motion on the consent agenda, please?
I'd make a motion that we would accept the consent agenda 4A through G as given.
Second. Okay. Any discussion or questions on any item or sub-item A through G? Anybody? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Under new business, item 5A, under building and code services, we've got a zoning board approval of a zoning change at 1223 South Court. I know there's the applicant that's here to speak to this, and Barrett, you're here to speak in opposition to it, is that correct?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so,
Just have some questions about it more so than opposition.
okay, so let's do this, if you don't mind. Britt, let's have you come up, if you wouldn't mind, and just tell the council. And we've got this in the packet, this is more for the public than anything else, I suppose, at this point, but just give us a brief synopsis of what you're proposing, why you want it zoned, rezoned, I should say, commercial, and then Barrett, you can come up and we'll just have a discussion about it, if that's okay.
Sure.
It's 1223 South Court. It used to have 5 or 6 trailers on it. It's zoned for trailers, and I just want to rezone C1 with everything else around it is mostly C1 to put a laundromat there. It wouldn't be something I'd start this year, it'd be later this year. Because of COVID, it's going to take some time to get the equipment in. And I've got another one I'm doing in Johnson City first. So I'm just trying to do it all now and get it all zoned for when I'm ready.
Okay. Barrett, you want to ask your questions?
Yeah, sure.
I have a question first, please.
Oh, sure. I'm
What are
sorry.
your plans for hours of operation for this?
I was going to keep it open 24/7, just like the other one at Marion.
Will it be manned or unmanned?
If it needs to be, it'll be manned. I mean, the 2 owners that own the one in Marion don't live here. The first guy wintered down south in Florida, and the next, the one that owns it now is a airline pilot and lives in Waterloo. My
Referring to
intention,
the one on North Court Street?
yes. So I plan on not manning it. I mean, if it needs to be manned, I can. It's not a big deal. I don't live far, but just kind of when I get it going, just see how it does. I mean, I'll have security cameras in there and all that, 9 yards. So I mean, I can watch it from my phone if I need to.
Okay. We may ask more. Anybody else have questions? He's up here. We may ask you more questions here in a minute, but Barrett?
Yeah, I just had a few concerns. Basically, my name is Barrett Fox. We own the property that's adjacent to this property there. We've got about 20 full-time employees there. They're with benefits and, they're open 360 days a year. We've been in operation since 2014 and at that location. My dad started that business in the 80s and we came out here to work with the coal company, and then we have the storage containers, as some of you know, and dumpsters and a couple other things going in and out of that area. But I own the residential property that butts up to this. So there's a residential property to the north, there's a residential property to the south, there's a residential property to the west. The residential property to the west is the bricks. It's the known as the, I guess that would be the low-income housing area, the government housing area. And we've had some problems down there on the South Court Street area. We've been trying to clean it up best we can, you know, us and other neighbors and business owners in that area. We had some problems down there at the end of Wildcat Drive, maybe Wildcat Road, with the bridge down there with some homeless living under there. We've gotten that, from what I see, rectified, you know, and I'm afraid that if we open up a place that's open 24 hours, you're going to basically open up an area that people can come to and loiter and maybe do some things that aren't exactly on the up and up. And I feel like it could damage my rental property that is adjacent, because, you know, somebody will be laying their head sleeping within 50 feet of this business that's opened 24 hours a day. Some of the concerns that we have are no staff to prevent loitering and illegal activities that could lead to violence and crime. The proposed project's direct proximity to public housing area and mobile home community, already requiring the need for increased police presence. Is that true? Do we do increased police presence down there in that area with the city of Marion? You already happen to be down there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then basically mentioned the bridge already. One other thing is there's no boundary fence proposed to keep people from egressing between this 24-hour establishment, the house to the north, the house to the south. And basically, I don't have any problem with it being moved over to different zoning. You know, like I said, there's a house south, there's a house north, there's a house west. I don't see any problem with it, the zoning changing, because I think more mobile homes is probably not the answer. But something that's unstaffed really scares me, being open 24 hours a day. I did a Freedom of Information request, looked at some of the history on some of the other businesses in town that are open 24 hours and not staffed, and it looked like there's some problem with some homeless and some loitering and things like that. So those are basically my concerns. So if some of those things could be addressed, you know, I wouldn't be in opposition of it, because I want the city to move forward. You know, I want more things, but I think one thing in Marion that we need more than anything is housing. We're looking at 300 jobs over there with that FedEx, and, you know, maybe the meat processing facility, maybe the casino, maybe the new Target. You know, we need more housing. So I'm not so sure that, you know, one more commercial is the right answer. That's the things I had to say. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Any questions? Thank you.
Do you want to rebut any of that or talk about some of that?
Yeah, I understand is, you
Can
know.
you come up here
Yeah,
so that it's
sorry.
on the microphone?
I'm sorry. I understand his, you know, concern and stuff like that, but, you know, his concern about the homeless, you're gonna have that no matter where you go. You know, there was a homeless man that was caught living in one of the back of his storage containers that was at Stevens, caught it on fire. There's, you know, my presence will be felt there. You know, can I say it's gonna be a smooth ride? I don't know, but I'm gonna make it as smooth as I can be. You know, it's not gonna be a free-for-all. It's not gonna be a place where people can loiter. It's not gonna be any of that. You know, it's all, that area, regardless, is going C1. Whether, you know, it's not meant for houses, it's meant for C1. And it's been for sale multiple times. You know, so, I mean, if that was his you know, concern, he should have bought it at that time, you know, whenever he could have. But that's what I'd like to do with it. And, you know, I'm going to invest too much money to let it fail, pretty much. So.
You own the property to the south, 1225, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's residential?
Yes, sir, in 1305 and 1401. So the north, south, and west is residential, and then To the east is the sewer treatment and railroad tracks. There's 2 houses to the north.
I guess I'm seeing that. What'd you say the addresses were again?
The ones I own are 1225, 1305, 1401. The 2 houses to the north of the property in question are not mine. They're owned by private individuals. I just feel a lot more comfortable if we got some type of commitment that it was going to be staffed. If it was staffed, then I don't think we would have any problem with loitering because they could tell if somebody was spending money there or not.
How many laundromats are there in town? Just the one on North Court?
Just that one and the one behind Motor Market, by Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
I had the PD pull some numbers today for our calls to the laundromat on North Court Street. It's open 24 hours a day. And up until a few years back, I guess there were no cameras. They put cameras inside the building now, and it's not manned at night. And about 60% of our calls that we get there for ordering and whatever going on besides washing clothes was between the hours of, say, 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. through the middle of the night. And that's what concerns me with this, not the business itself. I think it's great. I think you'll probably do well with it, with the housing and the trailer court that's there. There's probably a need for it. But my biggest concern is the nighttime hours with no one manning it. I know you put cameras in, but what that's going to do is increase the call load to the PD. Hey, would you come down to my business and run people out because they're camping in there, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. Whereas if it were manned, and I understand the one on North Court Street isn't, I don't know if that's something that we as a council need to address. If people are going to have a business that's open and they're expecting the police to come and run people out, whether they need to man it or close it through the night hours. You know, I don't know how many people's going to be doing laundry, maybe more than I anticipate. I don't know.
I don't either.
You know,
at the end of the day, it's just something that, you know, to compete. You know, if I got to close at midnight, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's a lot of people, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's just to be able to compete on the same playing field. Now, obviously, if things are getting trashed, and you know, I can shut it down, and then I'll shut it down at midnight and open it back up at 7 or whatever I need to do. But I was just going to start off at first, letting it go 24/7 and seeing how that goes and how that, you know.
I mean, I understand, you know, I'm the Public Health Safety Commissioner. That's our job as the police department to handle calls, but I don't want to put more on the city or more on the department to keep answering calls when, you know, that's my biggest concern with this. Nothing to do with your business. I think you do great, and I hope it will do great. But that's my concern, the hours of unmanned operation, especially in that area where we've already had a problem, you know, with homeless and.
Are you willing to consider manning it, or does that destroy your business model? Other than yourself, I know you said you're close, but that's not, that, from my mindset, that's not gonna work.
I mean, I'm willing to look at it, you know, when the time comes, and see how that goes. But I mean, like I said, if I have to pay somebody, I will. And, you know.
Well, in a general sense, I got a couple comments to make. technically what the measure or the question before us tonight is whether to rezone it to C1. Now, in my mind, there's a difference between zoning and planning from a municipal standpoint. Now, the zoning board, I think, has actually got the name planning in there. It doesn't, does the appeals process have it, word planning in there?
We're technically the zoning board of appeals.
Okay. So, my point is this, and I'm hesitant to try to go in and gut that entire process, but I'm also, and this is, by the way, this is no skin, what I'm about to say is no skin off of either of you. I'm trying to make a point in general terms, most of which had to do with the last big to-do we had a couple meetings ago, which lasted for, I think, 3 days. I think we have to decide whether first of all, there's absolutely no question in my mind that this property qualifies for commercial development. I mean, I will say that, which leads to...
I said that in my letter.
I'm not here to disparage mobile homes, but I also don't want to see them more proliferated in town. So in that regard, you could have mobile homes right there and no one could say much about it. That's how it's zoned right now. So that piece appeals to me. Where I'm having this conceptual problem is especially at this stage where the zoning board has heard all this testimony before. I think you attended that meeting. And there's this question in my mind whether this is a planning role or a zoning role. Now, I asked somebody about this in the zoning department, and apparently in previous administrations, the administrators claimed to be the planners, and that's kind of where that was decided. I'm just confused, and I want to know what your guys' thoughts are, because it's only seemingly come up really with, like I said, with this meeting a couple weeks ago. What I don't want to see, or I'm afraid where we're going, is that, and again, this is no darts at either of you, but we've been through this a few times now, and no one ever wants anything to go next to them. It doesn't matter what it is. And whether it's good for the town, we can argue it's not good for the town or whatever. And so that's going to be subjective and argued to the nth degree by no matter whom. But I just hate to see this devolve to the point where the planning, not planning, I guess the zoning board, I'm pretty sure that name is in there somewhere, planning. But we don't utilize it that way, which really is the gist of my question. Are we relying upon the zoning board to make some sort of determination as to whether this is a good thing to go there or not? I just don't know that we should be, I think it's a slippery slope when we're up here at this stage. It goes through all that process, and then we thumbs up or thumbs down because we do or don't like whatever business is going in there. It's either commercial or it's not. These are valid concerns about this all-night operation thing. I don't think there's that many, if any, other businesses in town that operate all night which are unstaffed. But I also understand the nature of this business model may not lend it, which is why I asked that question, Brett, is that does destroy the profit motive, if you will, and I can see that it might, if you have to pay somebody to be there 24 hours a day. But I'm just concerned that it goes through all this process, and then every time somebody wants to rezone, Doug, you said it best in that meeting. You said, you guys are going to have to be prepared. The town's changing. I think people are seeing new uses for old pieces of property. That's definitely true. And that's my concern. That's just a general comment to the council.
I think it would be a good idea to evaluate our zoning map on a regular basis. I'm not sure what regular means, whether it means every year, every 2 years, every 5 years, I don't know. But I agree with you both. This is commercial property. And it should be. Not to, throw throw the gauntlet down and say, well, this is commercial property, and everybody out that's not commercial. That's not what I mean at all. Potentially, it has the possibility to go commercial if somebody so chose. But as long as there was a house there, we weren't going to do anything. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of like it's grandfathered in. But I wonder if we ought to look at different sections of town, especially as things develop sometimes rather quickly, to be able to be out in front of it and not behind it. Because I feel like we're behind it at this point. And it's almost like I kind of don't like being in this position, because I want those choices to be made, I guess, kind of ahead of time. And you know, I buy property for a living for the Department of Transportation and for a private consultant, and I see trends on a regular basis, whether it's here or wherever else. And you'll see development like this. In fact, one not too long ago was single-family residential right next door to a Menards and some other big store. I don't remember which one it was exactly. But the single-family residential abutted the commercial property that Menards was on. My point is, I called the city zoning people and I said, is this really what you want? And they said, that's what it is now. But what's going to happen is it's going to be rezoned because somebody's going to buy it, and they're going to put apartment buildings there. They're going to put it in a Lowe's or a Aldi's or whatever it might be for commercial development. So as city planners, as a city council, I think we need to be receptive to trends and what's going to happen, and we can kind of dictate what happens and where it happens based on what we want as city leaders, and not just let everything be kind of helter-skelter. Because if we let this go to commercial, that tacks onto commercial property or properties. But I don't want it to be a hodgepodge of zoning, and I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to avoid. I want to look at areas potentially and rezone them over, whether it be yearly, 2 years, 5 years. I don't know what the answer is there.
I have one thing I'll say. I would offer to buy the property for the amount invested in the property. Let you all zone it C2 or whatever you want to zone it to get the mobile home out of there if you wanted to sell it, and maybe find a better location that was suited without the, you know, the question of a lot of foot traffic and folks that may be loitering. I mean, I'm just trying to remedy the situation for everybody if possible. I just, I didn't have any avenue to buy the previous property, you know.
That would be a discussion.
Yeah, I'm just saying that would be an offer that I would make, yeah.
Yeah, and there again too, I'm a little hesitant on speculation at this point. We don't know what kind of loitering, if any, is going to happen there. We don't know that. I would feel much more comfortable with, okay, we're going to try this, but Mr. Kirby, if it doesn't, we're going to be calling you, and we're going to expect you to man it and make sure that things are taken care of.
I like that idea too.
So as not to encumber our police force. Is that something that we could agree to or live with?
I'm fine with that. My whole thing was you know, like, I just felt like he'd want me to guarantee that nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And all I'm sitting here saying is, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I live 5 minutes down the road. I drive by there every day, going to and from work. And I think that's what, like, if I didn't work, I would say, heck yeah, you know, I'll just stay there all day long. But when I work at the prison and, you know, if I'm working a midnight shift, supposed to get off at 7:30 in the morning, and I get mandated and I can't get off till 3:30, well, I can't make it over here to open the doors. So now it's just set closed all day long. You know, can I find somebody? Maybe, you know, it's one of those things where we're just gonna have to get it going and see how it goes. You know, I can't start, you know, I don't know, it might just break even for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with the zoning board's decision to change it to commercial. I'm fine with that. My only concern was nighttime, and I'm fine if we do decide to accept this, and this goes in and we see that it is a problem. Again, I know the police is there for people to call when they need them, but I don't want to be putting something in that's going to keep an officer busy full-time, and we're going to look at the one on North Court.
Yeah, and I understand.
You know, and at that point, give you a call, and, you know, if you can't remedy it, then possibly unmanned stores can't be open from midnight to 6 a.m. or 10 to, you know, whatever. That's just an idea, I don't know.
Through some kind of ordinance or anything?
Yeah. But I personally don't have a problem with the rezoning. I mean, I think it'd be a great location.
I'm okay with it.
And I respect what you're asking, and you know, it's kind of like you're asking for a speculative problem at this point to be rectified, but I think if we say, hey, let's take a look at this, if it's a problem, then we'll go back to Mr. Kirby, and Mr. Kirby, I want your honest word, let the record show that, yeah, we're fine with that.
I'm fine with that. And like I said, it's not even
I like
something I'll start to the end of the year.
Sure.
I'm good with it. I just want to be on the record that, you know, that we came and expressed our concern.
All right, with that being said, I'm going to make a motion that we affirm the zoning board's approval of a zoning change at 1223 South Court Street, PIN number 062447604004, from mobile home to C1 general commercial for the purpose of a laundromat. And let the record show that Mr. Kirby has agreed, if there are loitering issues, he would be open to discussions on, how should I say that? Remedies. Does that work for you, Brett?
That's fine with me.
Is that good with you guys?
Yep.
Yes, sir. That.
Okay, any other discussion or questions for any party? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Brent, you want to come up and discuss items on number 6?
Which one was on there first? Was it
Engineering.
the engineering agreement? That's basically a continuation of an agreement we signed earlier last year for the sewer rehabilitation project. We did the preliminary study, it's complete. This basically is an agreement to go on to the full design for that based on the preliminary study that we did.
Okay. Anybody want to make that motion before we can ask questions of Brent on it? Or?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for engineering services with Third Engineering to the sewer rehab project.
For a second?
I would second that.
Sorry.
Any questions on this or concerns? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay.
Mayor, let me go back to, should the ordinance 3796, should have been included in item 5, or am I missing something?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, it was in the packet, but should we reference ordinance 3796 in that motion? I don't see 3796 anywhere on the agenda, unless I'm missing it somewhere.
No, it was all part of that.
You've lost me. Where are you picking up that number?
It was in the packet.
Oh, you're going back one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Chris, I just realized I missed you, so we'll solve this issue, then we'll get back to you. Sorry about that.
I guess in my motion, my question is, should we reference that ordinance number, which changes from,
Well, I think probably it wouldn't hurt, but I don't know, I mean, without undoing the vote, just make an amended vote, let's just make an amended vote on item 5A and restate it, we'll vote again, including to reference this ordinance on that, please, Armin. Is that okay? It's not Robert's Rule of Order, but we rarely do Robert's Rule of Order anyway, and I don't know how to do it in that circumstance. But we can either undo that and vote again, or you can just, don't you think?
let's just, can we insert into the
I
motion,
think you can just.
insert into the motion ordinance 3796, does that work?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Anybody have an objection to that?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I just stumbled across it.
Okay, so is that solved? Before we go to 6B, hang on a second. I gotta let these guys, I forgot. We hired a person for the HUD, and I promised Chris I'd let him introduce Jonathan to us, and I blew it, and so we're gonna do that right now.
Good timing now? Okay.
Yeah, well, no, but I screwed up the timing, so.
We're gonna flow through, okay. Come on up, Jonathan. Yeah.
Sorry, Brent.
Gotcha, yeah, sorry. No, that's fine.
Good evening. So we have a wonderful candidate for aquatics coordinator, seamless transition from Andrew Allen to Jonathan Kraus. And really probably 2/3 or more of the transition has occurred because Andrew Allen, who's been with us really since 2017, has brought up, as aquatics coordinator, has brought up a team, a leadership structure in the aquatics team to allow for a wonderful transition. Knowledgeable staff on the lead lifeguard, pool manager level. And Jonathan Kraus has been, I think every position really holds, I think 6 job codes right now, job titles, has been everything from the beginning since a really lifeguard, lead lifeguard, pool operator, lifeguard instructor, and pool manager. I probably missed a couple. And so my recommendation for the new aquatics coordinator position with Andrew Allen moving on, he has done an excellent job in that, as well as financial stewardship within the department. Andrew is moving on as a finance officer with his home church, and has done an excellent job, and he's going to be doing his field of study and his passions in finance. So my recommendation, as was approved for aquatics coordinator, is Jonathan Kraus. So.
That was anticlimactic, because we already hired him.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything, or rather not? You're dressed pretty snazzy. This is a good opportunity. Okay, well, if not, I'll let you guys leave if you would like, unless you just want to stay. That was the other reason. Thank you. All right, Brent, I'm so sorry for that interruption.
No, not a problem.
And Chris, make matters worse, I even wrote it down. Chris to introduce, and I still missed it. All right, we're going to back to item 6B on these Purafil filters.
This is a routine budgeted item that we do for maintenance. This is the carbon media that goes in the Purafil air filtration system that we have our headworks at the West Plant. It's reached its end of life. It's time to replace that. So we've got a quote here that needs approved by council to purchase from Purafil for $86,6650. Just need approval on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the Purafil media purchase for the air filters at the West Plant at a cost of $8,866.50, which is a budgeted item.
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 7A, be my motion to approve the purchase of 1124 Midway Court for $15,000 and 1221 Midway for $25,000.
I'll second.
These are the couple of pending ones I alluded to at the last meeting that we were talking to. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 7B, I'll explain this a little bit. You've got a big, thick copy of this on your desk. So probably 2 years ago, is that right, Glenn? We engaged IDA, being the Illinois Housing Development Authority. We asked for some planning help as it relates to our revitalization hopes and dreams for the Midway Court, Hendrickson, Concord area that we've been buying some property in. This was a long process to begin with as far as this assessment that they did. This was free basically to the city, except for a lot of Glenn's time, Jennifer's time, some of my time. But it's more of a demographic study and just showing some of the gaps in services and what the housing is like. I would have to agree with Barrett as to one of our challenges in town is affordable housing, and that's our goal, is to revitalize this area with affordable housing. As you can tell, it's, I don't know how many pages this thing is.
164.
164, Tammy says. But it's very interesting data. The primary, the takeaway or what's in it for us with this is that what we're seeking is private development, and a lot of the affordable housing comes in the form of tax credit projects that the Illinois Housing Development Authority issues. By going through this study, there are extra points. It's a point-based system for each application for those, and there are extra points allocated to this as a result, as a benefit, if you will, of going through this state study. But the biggest benefit is they will advertise. There's very few of these, I think, that have been completed, probably because it took 2 years to get it done. But the state will help us advertise for potential developers that might want to redevelop some of this. And that's all a good thing. So that's basically what the takeaway from that process is. But because that was completed, we do have to adopt this as a council so that they can know to put it up on their website and advertise for it. I don't know that anything will necessarily come of this, but it was an excellent exercise to go through. And we will certainly have copies of this, all 164 pages, right, Tam?
That's right.
Up at the city council desk if anybody would like to pick one up and read over it. So that would be my motion, that we approve the City of Marion Housing Needs Assessment Community Revitalization Plan.
I'll second that.
Any questions on this? Did you guys have a chance to read through any of it? I know it's awfully big
A
file.
lot of good information in there,
Yeah.
surprising information.
Yeah, there were some shocks in there. Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yeah. Cody, can you come talk about the roofing project a little bit? That's item 8A.
So this is a upcoming fiscal year item. It's recently been discovered that there's some parts of the library roof that are leaking. And I think we've deferred the replacement of the roof at the fire department at least 2 fiscal years, if not more. And so given that roofing materials are very hard to come by, it seemed like this might be the opportune year to go ahead and start this process. And given the sense of urgency needed to repair the roof at the library, the bid that we received, the low bid that's in your packet, this was one of 3 or 4 bids that was received at the library. To my knowledge, this is the only bid that was received for the fire department. But since it's a multi-building bid, they gave us a discount that I noted there in your packet of $7,400. So the 2 buildings, I believe it was a hair over $33,000 for the fire department and a hair over $31,000 for the library. And it would basically seal the membranes on each of those. Anticipated life would be 20 to 25 years.
The fire department, so that's over the main,
The original portion, not the new portion.
say it was all
Yeah,
remodeling, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, not the new portion.
So does the 7420 come off of the 65?
No, if you look at the attached quote, it was 72.4 minus the discount, ending up at 65. Next page.
Oh, okay. Dig a little deeper, Doug.
We did not get a similar bid from another vendor, but we got a bid just for the library. It was more, the bids we were getting just for the library for re-roof.
Significantly more than this, yes.
Than this quote.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we stopped,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Because this one handled both of them.
Correct. For about the same money as we were being quoted for the library alone.
I don't know about this specific product, I've had the ceiling done on our membrane roofs on one of our businesses in town, and it does work really, really well. At least it is for now. So.
Tonight might be a different
So it's a 5-year leak warranty, but 10-year manufacturer warranty. Since this is a sealant, what would be the difference?
That's a great question.
I wonder what would fail. Did they give us an expectation on how often this ought to be applied?
20 to 25 years, yeah.
It's only got a 5-year guarantee, basically, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think I don't know if the 5 year is labor and 10 years the actual product, is the way I don't know what that leak-free warranty means exactly.
I'm just trying to envision how the product fails would be warranted that doesn't cause a leak.
That makes sense.
So,
I would assume the 10-year warranty is on the product itself.
Right.
The 5-year leak warranty would be around any pipes or anything that they sealed around any chimneys that's coming through the roof. That would be my interpretation.
Which is different than the product.
Right.
It would be more.
Thing. Yeah.
Okay, that's public affairs. I'll make the motion to approve the bid by Reynolds Roofing to replace the roof at Marion Carnegie Library and Marion Fire Department for $65,000 even, a 2022-23 budget item.
I'll second that. And they also said, Tim talked with them today, if the weather cooperates after today, maybe they hope to have both of those buildings completed by the end of May.
Do you know, is the fire department roof, is that a flat membrane or does it have a pitch to it?
I think it's got a little bit of a pitch to it. I know where the new building is raised higher than the old building.
Okay. I'm just curious. I know the flat ones
Nothing
cause
was
problems.
touched whenever they built the new building. So this old, I think the old roof has been on there for 20-some years.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Yes.
Commissioner Barwick.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. All right, under commissioner reports, Doug, I'll ask you to go first since you've got yours and Commissioner Steckland's.
Yeah, this is from John Stecklin, the Water Commissioner. Since the last council meeting, Water Department reports as follows. 3 new service taps, 1 water main break, 9 services updated, and 5 meter pits repaired. In addition, City Hall will be closed on this Friday in observance of Good Friday, and we will reopen on Monday. As a reminder, we now have a live view on the square. You can view this by accessing our city app or on the website. Just click on live view. Everyone have a happy Easter. That's from the Water Department. And from the Treasurer's Office, I would like to announce that the city's proposed budget for the fiscal year from May 1, 2022 to April 30th of 2023 is now ready for public inspection. The budget is available on the city's website, or a copy is available for review in the city clerk's office. This year's budget is presented in 2 separate reports. The summary of revenues, expenses, reserves, and balances by fund, and the annual budget line item. So that is available for review. That's all I've got.
Okay. Mr. Bartlett?
For the fire department, for the month of March, we had 10 100 series fire calls, 3 explosion 200 series calls, 8 300 series rescue and EMS, 10 hazardous conditions with no fire, 4 500 series service call, 9 good intent calls, 17 activated alarms, for a total of 61. They conducted 30 annual safety inspections and used a total of 2,213 gallons of water. The police department, there were 122 city ordinance violations, 42 warrant arrests, 369 incidents reported, 156 traffic accidents, 8 DUIs. There were 7,250 dispatch calls, 2,024 911 calls, and 281 ambulance calls. The Marion Police Department Narcotics Unit had 168 citations issued, 67 arrests, 24 warrant arrests, 53.2 pounds of cannabis was seized, 31.1 grams of methamphetamine, 129.5 grams of a controlled substance, 24 grams of MDMA, 8 controlled purchases, 4 search warrants, 1 seizure warrant, 1 vehicle seizure, 8 alcohol offenses, and $2,022 was seized for asset forfeiture. So,
Yeah, streets, we're continuing sidewalk rebuild and replacement on various streets, along with ditching, culvert work. I've seen the city mowing crew out today as well. One big item is the spring cleanup. I don't have my note with me, but I think it's April 18th when it starts. So it's listed on the website. It's got all the, what we do take and what we don't take. So I appreciate the press getting that out. So cemetery, we had 23 barrels in the month of March. So we had a lot of activity there. We started mowing out there as well. I had to mow on some rain days. It's so wet, so be patient with us on that. So that's all I got.
Okay, anything under item 10, under miscellaneous, anything else to come before the council? Anybody have a need? I do not for executive session. Does anybody else? Item 11. Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yes.